how we have bought things as children and how we have saved them has drastically shifted over a long period of time. We're at the Museum of Childhood now, where we have several objects that demonstrate that shift. The idea of a money box was actually used as a tool to help children save money. Originally, money boxes were used to store money in the home, but as time went on, it was used as a teaching tool for children so that they could learn that the money that they made could go into a box and that they could eventually save it for something. There was an array of different kinds of money boxes that children could have. There's one in particular we have in the collection, the Tammany Bank, that was made in 1873. That was named after the political party in America that was dealt with greed. So it was teaching children to save money, but also to not be greedy as well.
There are lots of books and websites and blogs with advice about what parents and teachers can do to help kids figure out about money. But a lot of that stuff doesn't really have any evidence with it. So somebody might tell you, you should give your kids pocket money and they should have to do chores for it because that's how they learn to work for money. And somebody else might say, actually, you should give pocket money, but we should all do chores because that's part of our family responsibility. Pocket money should be something separate. And both of those things sound like they might make sense, but we don't really have any research or any data to tell us what's gonna happen if I do this one or if I do that one. So what we're gonna tell you today is hopefully the highlights of what we know, what research and data tells us about how kids learn about money and how we can help them.
Let's think about what are the mental skills, the brain skills that we need in the first place before we can even start thinking about what to do with our money. I'm going to talk to you about some of those brain skills today. 3 of them, really. The first is to think about, well, what do I want the money for, right? So what's the long-term goal? What am I aiming for in life? You might be thinking about the job you want to do, for example. One thing that we found, I've been working with a TV company on this, is that we found that when we bring kids into a restaurant and we give them the chance to do different jobs in the restaurant, like whether you want to wash the dishes, whether you want to be a waiter, or if you want to be the manager of the restaurant, that the kids whose parents are managers, they naturally gravitate to the manager role. But the kids whose parents are more working class and don't have much money and haven't seen their parents be managers, they've only seen their parents be cleaners, for example, they actually want to be the dishwasher. And when we asked them, why is it you want to be the dishwasher? And this kid, and he was only 6 years old, said, because that's the thing I think I'm able to do. So even at the age of 6, this guy was taking the example from his parents and from his environment about what he could maybe do in life and not thinking about other jobs, and particularly jobs that might give him a lot more money later in life to do what he wants. So here, the mental skill is planning. Just planning, thinking steps ahead, not just thinking about what you're doing now, but thinking about how that might affect what you'll do next and what you'll do next. Let's say you want to buy a big thing at the end of the year, PlayStation 4. Then you've got to think, well, what does that mean for how I'm spending my money every week? If I spend my money on something now, how will that affect how much money I have at the end of the year to afford the big thing that I want? We're going to try and do a game that demonstrates how hard these skills can be. Oh, I think you got your hand up first. You want to come and have a go? So, you can ignore that. I'll just show you how it works, right? I'll tell you how it works. Right, so the goal is, right, this is what we want things to look like, okay? So there are balls with different colors, but this is what we've got. And what we got to do is we've got to make this picture look like this picture. And you can do that by moving the balls around, right? So you can touch on the ball and then move. You can only move one ball at a time. Okay? So if we want to get to this, what ball do you want to move first? Okay. Oh yeah, great. And then what are you going to do? Oh wow.
By the age of 3, children are starting to understand concepts around money. So you've got a 3-year-old, I've got a 3-year-old, she just turned 3. She can count, she can more or less get counting right. She kind of does sometimes go a little bit over the number, sometimes we go a little bit wonky in the middle, but she can get counting and she can understand that when we go to the shops and have to pay for things at the end. She gets that and she knows that at the end we have to pay for stuff, and she's starting to understand the concept of shopping. So that's a great point, we can start talking to them about money. She kind of knows that Mummy and Daddy go to work, she knows we disappear, and she understands a little bit about the fact that we get money for going to work and that we pay for things with the money we get. And now I'm making a conscious effort to show her that I'm buying stuff with cash, because tapping on the contactless card is really easy and we all do it too much. What I'm doing now is trying to remember to get cash out of the cash point and show her that it comes from the bank, I get it, I work, I get it, it goes into the bank, I get it from the bank, I pay for stuff with it. And that's the kind of really simple thing that you can show and demonstrate to your younger children, and the really simple conversations you can start to have even at the age of 3.
And so many of us sort of say, why wasn't I taught money at school? It's such an important key skill that we need throughout our whole lives, and yet greater emphasis is placed on other subjects at the moment. But another study has showed that parents have an even more important role to play in helping their children to manage money, and 80% of 15 to 18-year-olds view parents and family as the main source of financial education and understanding. So parents, there are things that you can do at home, but also sort of influencing, speaking to your schools and getting your schools to sort of incorporate it into the curriculum is another good step. So I think Helen's already spoken about some of the things that you can do on a day-to-day basis. I had sort of a list of them to share, but I'm going to sort of cut it a little bit shorter because I know it's already been covered. But things like when you're going out shopping, getting the children very much involved in writing the shopping list. I know it's going to be chocolate, but sort of thinking about what our wants are and what our needs are, and looking at sort of, in the shopping centre, maybe going around with a calculator and sort of working out, tallying up what things are costing, looking at different options, different brands and different offers that are there, and working out, are they really good value? 3 for 2 sounds like a good offer, but actually if you work it out, is it actually going to be cheaper, and are we going to need all 3, or are we just going to need one of those things? So lots and lots of learnings that you can do sort of just every day in the shopping centre, and sort of involving them in putting together the family budget and things as well.
The debt that I got into when I was at university affected my life quite drastically for the couple of years after I graduated. So if we can make mistakes around money, what about those who weren't so fortunate? So we set up My Bank, and basically what we do is we teach young people aged 7 to 25 about money, and we do it by bringing it to life. So we go into schools, we go into colleges, we go into leave-in care teams, we work with asylum seekers, young parents, we go into prisons, and we teach young people how to make their money work for them. The young people want to just come up to the front for a second, and I'm going to read out some items that you might spend your money on, and then you have to walk and decide whether it's a need or a want. Is that okay? I'll be reading. Do you want to come up? Okay, so do you all understand the difference between a need and a want? Yes? Okay, so the first one we're going to make, we'll make it easy. So, food. Is food a need or a want, do you think? Okay, so we're going over that. All right, what about fast food? We have some group decisions going on over here. We usually do this as an individual activity with stickers. Okay, what about going on holiday? And have a think, do you think that it's really important? Do you think that you could live without it? What do you think? Are you saying on this side? Okay, so move into the middle for the next one, so you can move. Yeah? Okay. What about a car? Is it a need or a want? Okay, so why do you think it's a want? Why do you think?
Because you can just walk.
Exactly. Depends where you're going. Why do you think it's a need?
If you have a big family and you have to go somewhere very far, for example, go from here to Wales, for example, you're going to need a car so that you can get from A to B.
As we've talked about, as these guys have done a great job pointing out, sometimes we don't buy something so that we can buy something else. Now, why do we tend to assume that if we don't buy something, if somebody else doesn't buy something, it must be because we can't afford it? Well, one thing that our research suggests is that as young people are learning to understand what does it mean to be wealthy or to be poor, they don't really understand what it means to be wealthy, but they think about it as kind of this halo of all nice things that go together. So being happy, being nice, being rich, all those things go together. So whatever I do that makes me happy must also mean that I'm rich. But what that means is that when they don't spend money, we not only feel sad because we didn't get the fast food or the candy bar or the cup of coffee that we wanted, but we also feel poor, even though we might be doing it as a sensible financial decision to have more money. So I think it's important for parents and educators and all of us to think about how we convey these messages. So these guys have given you lots of ideas that you can do with kids around, we're not going to buy this because we're going to buy this other thing instead. But can we do that from a place that's about empowerment? So that feels good. We're doing this, and that actually means that we're secure, we're wealthy, we're making this decision from a place of power rather than we're sad, it feels kind of bad, so we're doing it because it's the smart thing to do, but that makes these smart decisions more painful.